Coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. This is Questions with L.A. We'll get into your questions, but first a word from our trusted sponsor. Just like groceries, gas, and food, your energy bills are expected to keep hitting record highs. You know, folks, here in the Santa Monica Mountains, because we have wells and all this other stuff, we're paying like $450 a month for our electricity. Just saying. Okay. Yet the greedy power companies show no signs of lowering costs. That's why I've been using this magical little device that I absolutely love. Thanks to it, I'm able to help slash my power bills, beat the greedy utility companies, and keep more money in my pocket every month. Use my link in the description below to get 65% off, plus receive several bonuses with every order completely for free. Folks, check it out, www.don'twastepower.com. That's www.don'twastepower.com. www.don'twastepower.com. I know I'm probably never going to hear the end of this, but there's a couple of mugs here for you. And we've got 3 mugs and more on the way. Shameless plug, all you're trying to do is make a buck. You know what? They sell out in like less than 24 hours. So people really like them, and I think it's kind of cool. People like merch, and we're just trying to help that out. But let's get into your questions. If you have a question, there's now, I'm not even going to tell you the number. I mean, we'll never reach the end, but we keep plotting week after week after week, trying to answer as many questions as possible. So, and for some of you, it's your favorite show. This is from Paul. Hey, if you've got a question, questions at lamarzulli.net, questions at lamarzulli.net. I've been curious, LA, why is there this constant narrative of demonic forces trying to drive Christians away from God? Well, the enemy, the prince of the power of the air, the dragon, is interested in your soul and my soul. This is why we have to guard ourselves constantly, because, we never know. The enemy does what he can tempt us with, what can make us slip, as it were. I have my own battles. I'm not above what you guys go through. I mean, all of us here are broken in some ways. All of us are broken. There's things in our past. Sometimes, I'll just give you an example in my own family. My father was in World War II. He landed in the Normandy invasion. He was a lieutenant at that time. They were at Utah Red. He was at every battle, including the Battle of the Bulge, 2 Purple Hearts, Bronze Star. He told me things at the 50th anniversary, which he'd never told anybody before. My dad had PTSD all of his life because of that. He was 21 when he went over, when he enlisted, 21 years old. Cannon fodder, essentially. He saw things that none of us should ever have to see, but he experienced them. He never got any help, never talked it out, and even later in life, my daughter, Sarah, was doing a report on World War II and called him up and asked him about World War II. He lasted less than 2 minutes on the phone, put the phone down and went away and wept in the other room. And I'll just leave it at there, because what happened after that wasn't so pleasant. But, I'll tell you, my mother sort of scolded him. I told you not to, blah, 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 blah. Both of them are passed away. God bless them. But, that generation they internalized everything. They walked around with it. As Christians, and this is kind of a long answer to this, but as Christians, if we are burdened down, if there are things in our life which we've never reconciled, we need to do that. Find somebody. Go to a counselor if you have to. PTSD is a real deal, and the results of that can be very debilitating. So, you know what? We all struggle. We all struggle. Going back to the question, the enemy is after your soul, is after my soul. That's what's happening. What does the book of Revelation tell us? And the souls of men, right? And the souls of men. Some people, and I'm not going to mention names, have already given up their soul in return for fame and fortune and glory. Not here. Anything that we have, anything that my wife and I have, any accolades, glory to the King. And I mean that with all my heart. Glory to the King. Because he set my feet on the path that I'm on, doing all this stuff. the films and the books and everything else. I'm a musician. That's what I thought I was. But the Lord said, well, I know you're a musician, Elaine, you're a pretty decent one, but over here is really what I've created you for. And that took a long time. But what's 50 years in the realm of eternity? Okay, let's continue. You'll find this one really interesting. Here's the shot of it, first of all. I'll hold that up. You guys can see that, right? There you go. This is from Robert. When you were at Cahokia Mounds, did you ever hear of the piazza bird? Look it up. You may find it interesting. It's similar to the locust in Revelation. I would say that you could call this Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent. It's always a dragon, isn't it? It's always a dragon. This was up on a huge cliff face. Sorry about that, Chief. And there you go. So this was flying around Cahokia. Gee. And look, in my opinion, what we're looking at here, this is what the dragon looks like. And this is probably the way he appeared to Native Americans around Cahokia. Did Native Americans build Cahokia? In my opinion, absolutely not. I've been there several times. It is an unbelievable place. It is the largest mound in North America, actually in South America too. It's well over 450,000 tons of earth. Think about that. 450,000 tons of earth. What does that look like? Because I can't get my head around that. We actually showed this in our Trail of a Nephilim series, Mysterious Mound Builders, if you want to do a deep dive on that and actually learn something. But here we go. If you took a bunch of dump trucks and put them end to end and filled those dump trucks up with dirt, you'd have about 250 miles of end-to-end dump trucks. That's what 450,000 tons of earth look like. And here's something to think about. How is the dirt compacted? How does the mound not give in to erosion? How does that work? All right, let's do a couple of more here. I've got these printed out, and I will do my best to get through them. And this is from Ed. I was wondering why you only mentioned 2 megalithic stones underground in the rabbinical tunnels. I have been there, and there are many more above ground than out in the open. If you are facing the western wall, I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, you're right, Ed, and I do stand corrected. I've been negligent in not mentioning the other megalithic stones, but they are there, and they are part of the Temple Mount. The reason, and they are very, very large. But the reason why I go to those two is those things are just magnificent, and they're really, really big. We filmed underneath there, and it was incredible. So when we go to Israel, if we get to go to Israel, who knows at this point, right? We lead a tour, the Nephilim tour, and we go underneath the Temple Mount, and I lecture at those 2 gigantic stones. Yes, the Herodian dressing is on there, but that could have been added at any time, Do I believe that this is Nephilim architecture? Absolutely, all day long. Let's continue. This is from Mark. Ooh, I love this one. Look at this. Short and pithy right there. Thank you, Mark. All right. LA, have you any opinion on the Sage Well in Montana? It has similar construction to Sacsayhuaman in Peru. Tim Alberino and I debunked that about, last year sometime. Tim and I went there to Sage Wall. It is a natural formation. It's on our YouTube channel, L.A. Marzulli. You can check that out yourself. We totally debunked it less than 10 minutes after we got there. Now, there's something going around. My business partner, Gil Zimmerman, emailed it to me. I forget where it is, but these huge, huge megalithic stones with right angles. Now, does that look like it was quarried? Yeah, it does look like it's quarried. Bottom line is, unless you can get boots on the ground, unless I can get boots on the ground, I don't know what I'm looking at. I just don't. But we debunked Sage Wall, and we did it in less than 10 minutes. It is a natural formation. Just so you know, the glacier over that area up in Montana was 2 miles high. Think about that. Ice sheet 2 miles high. You don't think that can do all sorts of things? Think again. This is from Angie. Making this pithy. Oh, I love when they're pithy. Thank you so much. Making this pithy. Has anyone in forensics ever put flesh on the Nephilim skulls, the elongated skulls? I call them the Nephilim skulls. Do we know for certain wherever they are? No. But our DNA testing showed that many of them came from the Middle East. And we have doctors and surgeons and chiropractors. Thank you, Malcolm Warren. He's got two first names. Thank you, Malcolm Warren. And I said surgeons already, archaeologists, anthropologists. It's genetic. I mean, it's genetic. That's what it is. And yet the mainstream won't admit that. But our DNA evidence showed that a preponderance of these artifacts, these skulls, came from the Middle East. That does rewrite history. There was no contamination, because if there was contamination, why didn't we get nuclear DNA? They just don't like the results. Just like the museum out on Cantley Island cropped the picture of the giant. They took the giant skeleton out of the picture. Okay, thank you, Angie. Yes, this is the deal. There's a woman, I'm trying to think of her name. We actually showed this in the DNA film. She's done this. That's her interpretation of what these things may look like. She's made them sort of benevolent. I would maintain that if you saw these things at 10 o'clock at night, you'd run for the hills. Let's continue. This is from Carl. Do you have any opinion on the strange occurrences at the Skinwalker Ranch? They sound very similar to your videos. Yeah, I think the Skinwalker Ranch is an open doorway. It's a portal. It's been that way for thousands of years. The First Nation people, Native Americans, know exactly what it is. Francisco Correa stated so much in our third episode in our UFO films. The experts weigh in. And Francisco's we were talking about what happens at the Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, it's a gateway. It's a portal. There's stuff that's there. It's a highly charged area. If you were to go back, I'd be willing to say that lots of blood was spilled in that area. There's been rituals done there. Absolutely. So it's a gateway. It's a portal. And the scientific community is sort of funny when I do watch the show, which is rare. These guys poke around with their gadgets, and what they need to do is get a couple of born-again, spirit-filled believers who know how to cast out and cleanse the land, cast out the demons from the land and purify the land. So. Anyway, folks, that's it for today. We're working on getting these on the website. We're still trying to figure out what they're going to cost. Bear with us. Meanwhile, here's the new trailer for Roswell 1 and Roswell 2. I want to thank Chauncey Green, the newest member of our team. Chauncey is doing a great job. He created this short, the trailer for Roswell. I think you'll find it interesting. Anyway, folks, before I go, thanks so much. If you've got questions, shoot me an email, questions@lamarzulli.net. Thanks for watching.
Officials endeavoring to obtain all top flying saucers.
Marcel's own words, it was something that he'd never seen before, something from another world. In our opinion, Marcel was a patsy.
Just verbal directions, we know what about it.
But his father was telling the truth.
He dead in the eye, and he said, it really happened. And he held his hand up just like this. They had 6 fingers, not 5.
He said they looked quite a bit like us.
Do you think your grandfather was a patsy?
100%.
Cover up by the U.S. military.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
I can't discuss in public setting.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries.
He deliberately obfuscated and they lied to the American people.
When the Pentagon decided to lie about what happened at Roswell.
Because standing 6 feet away, this little being about 3.5 feet tall.
She said the nurses who were there during the crash, they're now at a convent.
The first book that Randall wrote, and he said to Jess, he said, that's not fiction.
But for everybody, I mean, it's just a human thing. It's a worldwide changing, life-changing for everybody.
It was certainly not a weather balloon and not something from this earth.